has accordingly approved the budget statement and economic policy of the government for the year ending 31st December 2023.
Also, various labor unions kicked against government's announced debt exchange program, citing the dire effects on their Tier 2 and Tier 3 pension funds.
We were expecting government to have engaged us better to understand our position, how any debt restructuring program is going to affect our pensions industry.
Commuters and traders at some toll booth areas expressed varied opinions about the intended reintroduction of toll booth collections in 2023.
Since I'm a cheap cow Ghana, baby, a truck to be no cry 1 year pada. But we be a truck to be a 1 year. But you know I'm in Tiazi.
Told ye a wa a year. Name the Hiana say, I'm not better come wa. Bombo de Samaring, Mubutria. Some rather to 1 month, Triadia, who has a tier 2.
And later, President Akufo-Addo touts his administration's investments in the railway sector, describing it as the most significant since independence.
That in the last 5 years of my administration, more construction activity in the railway sector has gone on than in any period since independence. We've laid a solid foundation which will receive an even greater impetus by the end of my tenure in 2025.
Thank you for tuning in, and straight to our first story. Parliament has approved the 2023 budget statement and economic policy of the government.
During the final day of debate, the minority NDC group raised concerns over some of the revenue generation measures outlined in the budget, including the removal of the daily e-levy threshold and a 2.5% increase in VAT. The following report has more.
The 2023 budget presented to Parliament by the Finance Minister is central to government's attempt to secure a $3 billion support from the International Monetary Fund. Government is hoping that a passage of the budget will kickstart an economic recovery. For 2 weeks, members of Parliament have been debating the policy statement. On December 6, which was the final day of debate and specifically reserved for leadership of Parliament, the minority group raised concerns with some of the revenue measures in the budget, while imploring the government to consider expenditure cuts.
Mr. Speaker, on the 2.5% value added tax, our concern is that if you do an adjustment of it on the 15% VAT, cumulatively you are likely to increase VAT to 21.9%, because there's already 2.5% national health insurance levy, 2.5% GET fund levy. So cumulatively, Ghanaians will be paying 2.5% value added tax. Even the input credit that, for instance, pharmaceuticals and others had advantage to deduct it, they will be denied that opportunity. Mr. Speaker, that brings us close only to another country which is charging 20% VAT. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, it is the submission of the minority group that from the 2.5% VAT, you are likely to rake in about 2.4 to 2.8 billion Ghana cedis. Go and cut expenditure somewhere by 2.4 billion and don't burden Ghanaians with any additional 2.5%. So go back to your office of government machinery and then reduce the tax rate there. It is the contention of this size of the House that President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo must take the moral high to reduce the size of government. And he must collapse many of these institutions into their mother ministries. All the development authorities can run under the Ministry of Local Government. The Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture can run under the Ministry for Agriculture. The Ministry for Aviation and Railway can run under the Ministry of Transport. Let him reduce the size of government and make savings for the Ghanaian people.
In response, the majority leader explained that some of the revenue measures, including the 2.5% VAT, is needed to ensure continuous infrastructural development.
The revenue measures, the key ones to provide self-sufficiency includes 1. Revision of income-based taxes, removal of selected VAT exemptions, revision of excise taxes for selected items, complete removal of discounts on benchmark values, undertake e-levy reforms to close loopholes, leakages, and improve patronage and enhance yields. And 6, to implement the unified property rate collection. 2020 population and housing stock census revealed that there are 8.5 million houses in Ghana. If on the average each house pays 500 cedis per year, equivalent of about $35, the revenue yield will be up to 4.25 billion. Mr. Speaker, if the average is 1,500, that's the equivalent of, if the average is 750, that's the equivalent of $50, it will yield an amount of 6.375 billion. And if the average is 1,000, it will yield about 8.5 billion.
At the end of the debate, the Speaker, Alban Bagwin, put the motion to vote, which returned a positive verdict.
Those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Those against, say no. I think the ayes have it. Honourable members, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted. The House has accordingly approved the budget statement and economic policy of the government for the year ending 31st December 2023.
What Parliament has done is to pass the broad principles underpinning the 2023 budget. From now on, the estimates for the various ministries, departments, and agencies will be referred to the various committees for scrutiny. And then the financial bills, which has the various revenue measures like the e-levy and the 2.5% VAT increase, will also be put under scrutiny. Still in Parliament, Deputy Ranking Member on the Finance Committee of Parliament, Isaac Adongo, has threatened legal action against the government and Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta to retrieve losses on investments as the administration embarks on a bond exchange program. The Finance Minister on Monday announced a restructuring of 137 billion cedis local bonds into 4 categories to create fiscal space as part of measures to qualify for an IMF bailout.
I have been supported by a team of financial analysts and investment bankers who are poring over the over 64 bond categories that were issued. And very soon, I will present to you the level of damage in people's investment that has occasioned this announcement. But also, we are ready with my team to support any group of investors and bondholders who agree to come together for a class action to sue the Minister for Finance and to sue the government to reverse this decision. We are also exploring the opportunities that are available to ensure that investors are able to support government in an exchange program that meets the requirements of investors and government, so that government is able to achieve the twin objectives of preserving people's investment and our economy whilst at the same time meeting the criteria for the IMF program. We cannot, in the search of $3 billion from IMF, destroy over 100 billion of Ghanaians' resources.
For Citi News, Charles Osukumi reporting from Parliament.
Now, the government of Ghana has justified the debt exchange program as the best mode of expenditure cut to address the current economic challenges. The government on Monday announced a voluntary debt exchange program in which domestic bondholders will settle for new bonds with maturity dates in 2027, 2029, 2032 and 2037. Critics have, however, questioned why the government opted for debt restructuring instead of reducing expenditure. There's more in the following report.
The government of Ghana has been working hard to minimize the impact of the domestic debt exchange on investors holding government bonds. In particular, it does not embed any principal haircut on eligible bonds as we promise. Let me repeat this fact as plainly as I can. In this debt exchange, individuals holding domestic bonds will not lose, are not affected by the value of their investment will be retained.
That was the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta announcing government's domestic debt exchange program aimed at restoring Ghana's debt sustainability. However, the announcement was met with stiff opposition by stakeholders who fear their investments might be affected. The Trades Union Congress, TUC, which is the mother body for various labor unions, was quick to register its resentment over the announced measures. Dr. Yauba, in a statement, gave assurances of fully protecting pensions of its members. The Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association share a similar sentiment. The leadership of the group is worried its members will lose the value of their investments following the announced program. The executive secretary for the Chamber of Corporate Trustees, in an interview with Citi News, questioned the president's assurances of no haircuts following the announced domestic debt exchange program.
We were expecting government to have engaged us better to understand our position, how any debt restructuring program is going to affect our pensions industry. Whoever is contributing to a Tier 2 Provident Fund scheme and a Tier 3 Provident Fund scheme is going to be affected. So what it means is that the growth on your fund is going to slow down very drastically, the growth on your fund, because if 0% you don't have an interest, what it means that the whole of 2023, your fund is not going to grow by returns. Already we have even drafted a letter that we will soon deliver to the Ministry of Finance. I work with a council, so the letter is with my council to approve. When the content of the letter is approved, it's something I'm going to deliver to the ministry myself.
Meanwhile, the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, has vowed to resist any program that will negatively affect the pensions of teachers.
How will the Ghanaian be able to retire into a 2-bedroom house? We are turning into the bad situation. We are even complicating it. When will the worker come out of this particular situation? And that is why we are saying that the government should look elsewhere. The government should look elsewhere. Pension money, no. We say no today, and tomorrow we shall say no. We need to protect the worker. Very, very important. Yeah. And I've shown you this particular document. These are programs drawn by government to ensure that we improve the livelihood of the people we are leading. Look, pension money, if there is something that must be touched, it's not pension money.
Amidst the criticisms that have greeted this program, government, on the other hand, has been justifying the reasons for instituting this program. It says that it is the best way to sustain Ghana's public debts.
We are spending 2.9 billion of that for 1.3 million children of our country. How is that too much? So when we calculate the impact on the population and the opportunities we are offering the future generation of this country, we as government think that it's worthwhile expenditure to make. And its impact, the entire flagship programs of government is 9 billion cedis, including National Cathedral, everything that they are talking about, all the cost called flagship programs of government is 9 billion out of the 143 billion. So those really are not the major expenditure items to look at. Interest payment alone is 54 billion.
And you can't do anything about that.
That's why we are doing something about it through the debt exchange program. You have to bring it down, but you can't bring it down because it's a rigid expenditure by law and by obligations. And so you have to go through a process. Those are the things we need to tackle.
So the regulators in the financial space are still calling for calm amongst their contributors. They say that they will continue to engage with government to find a favorable program for their contributors. Reporting for Citi News, my name is Kweku Eduamansa.
The Ghana Private Road Transport Union, GPRTU, says they will not reduce transport fares despite a recent reduction in the prices of fuel. Passengers have called on the various driver unions to reduce the fares following the reduction in fuel prices. But speaking to Citi News, Industrial Relations Officer of the union, Abbas Imuro, justified their reasons, saying the frequency of increase in fuel prices cannot be compared to the increase in transport fares.
We are aware, yes, we are aware something small has been reduced from the fuel, but the situation in which we are now doesn't warrant us to reduce any welfare as we speak now. We researched to find out why our business is crumbling, and we realized that from May 2020 up to 2022, fuel has been increased 473 times, and transport fare has only been increased 67%, and fuel 473%. And we were researching to look at where our problems are coming from when we realized that this is where we fall short. So they should reduce it better.
The Upper West Regional Command of the Narcotics Control Commission has accused the police of under-declaring the quantity of some compressed substances suspected to be marijuana. The substance was intercepted by a joint police immigration task force at Lero, a community in the Sisala West District, last week. The commission has thus petitioned the Attorney General on the matter to help trace the missing parcels. Speaking to Citi News, the Upper West Regional Director of the Narcotics Control Commission, Ishahaku Bukari, says the situation is uncalled for.
I understand all the drugs were not taken to one place, and immigration officers who were part of the patrol team took a quantity of the drugs, while the police also went away with a quantity of the drugs. So we followed up to Hamlet, and then luckily enough, the immigration officers cooperated very well with us. They made the drugs that were intercepted at the school to us. We counted the drugs together with them, and there were 981 parcels of compressed marijuana. Then we later followed up to Golu, the district capital, to get in touch with the police there to find out the quantities that are in their custody. We had some initial challenges, but upon a discussion with the state attorney, he made some interventions, and then this afternoon we were granted access to the drugs, and they declared 2,171 parcels of compressed marijuana with the police at Kielmore, whilst the immigration are also keeping their portion at Hamlet in the Lambuse district.
You're still watching the Citi Newsroom on the Citi TV, still to come. President Akufo-Addo touts his administration's investment in the railway sector, describing it as the most significant since independence.
We'll bring you the details shortly. Do stay.
Plus is a fully skimmed evaporated milk. Creamy Plus is available in a shop near you.
This message has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
Are you looking for a home to buy in Kumasi? Prabon Greenfield is a private luxury gated community located in the heart of Kumasi with elegant homes starting from just $149,000. Move into our already built 3, 4, and 5 bedrooms at just 20% down payment and pay the remainder on a payment plan. Contact us on 0546 022-306 or 0200-056-865. Prabon Greenfields, the heart of Kumasi.
You're welcome back. Now, some former toll booth workers are lamenting how their joblessness, coupled with the current economic challenges, is making an already bad situation worse for them. Some of the former toll collectors say they now have to fall on friends and relatives to be able to feed themselves, a situation they describe as worrying. With the government planning to reintroduce toll collection on selected public roads and highways in 2023, former toll workers at Abuaso in the Ashanti region are hoping they could be considered back into the fold. Citi News' Ashanti regional correspondent Hafiz Tijani reports.
36-year-old Ibrahim Babangida Michael's wife and 2 children, as well as other relatives, depended on his monthly salary when he worked at the Abuasu toll booth as a collector in its active days. The government's decision to scrap the collection of tolls sent Michael and over 10 of his colleagues at the Abuasu toll booth home without any alternative employment. For Michael, feeding his 2 children is now a challenge after his wife left him because he is jobless. His condition will not also afford him the strength to engage in jobs that require more energy.
Because in fact I did crying. My mom, you know, come for some young clan or clan heading. Wife who cried in the yank, because on a day, mean to me, I say, I sit on a crabs, I gave him because Ojana cry, the cry. And see, a month I can join him, Madame, me join pa, and I'm say, in Cameda, see a word you man more. Cassa, how we in Camania then come on from me, young could give a core. adwuma no go for now no me na me kɔ na nkyɛn kɔ kyerɛ werɛ as me ankasa no kra me ka kyerɛ me sɛ me di dem ana ma wenya to me ka me ho de anka emba ne sei.
The Abuasu toll booth is situated on the busy Kumasi, Ejura and Yeji highways. Due to its busy nature, businesses along the stretch, especially those close to the toll booth, get good sales daily. The situation has changed drastically since the toll booth was closed down. This bakery, which is close to the toll booth, has sent some workers home because of the reduced sales.
Since the toll was closed down, in fact, things has not been working. Things has been going wrongly, badly, because that time the work was going on. Yeah, we can bring out more breads for people to buy, certify themselves. But when the toll was out, things was not moving again. As for that, we have to sack some of the workers, and it was so bad. Yes, it was so bad. To date, we don't know what have happened to the workers that have been sacked. Yes, if they have been in a bad situation or not, I can't just tell. But
how many are we talking about?
It's about 7 workers, 10 workers. Yeah. I'll not just say one or even a load. I will say bags. Yes. Those times we were doing more bags, at least 60, 70 bags. But when the toll was down, okay, you can get a loaf in one bag about 120 in one bag. Yeah, 120. So times 70, 80 bags. I mean, you can see it's very high, yes. And now the toll has been closed. We are not able to rate that bags. Now we are doing 10, 15, 20. Yes. We will be happy if the government brings again the toll. Yes. If the tolls are ready to come through, to come back again, we will call the worker that has been sacked for them to come and work again. Yeah, so we'll be happy for the toll to return again.
Hawkers who sell here say their sales continue to go down while others are exiting the business.
Sama na me ton so no wa ha de na eboa me. Na to ni wa ha no na eboa ye pa because ye ba anye bia be kofi o 50 cedi 70 cedi de na kura ba say no. Uba antime ntoma de wato wanzo 3 sachets 2 sachets abros wa 4 5 eno kura no jise we spend the time no wa ha 6 7 ansa ne bi kura timi atonso sa 5 bags no na ya hanso no nze mpanimfo no wom ebi manyinyini ya ebi mu kura betimi awoye tama na to no wa ha no no amutime to ade because na traffic ne chekakra sezen so traffic na ma tintimento ama mpanimfo na ewom no fa jai fa titifie sa ye bre wa ha de bre.
Drivers who ply this road frequently welcomed government's intentions to reintroduce toll collection, but they want revenues accrued to be used to fix bad roads.